Welcome back to Objective 4 in Chapter 10 of our 3A2 series. In this objective, we're going to calculate frequency, period, and discuss phase angle for an AC sine wave. Okay, so from what we've talked about earlier in this electrical section, we know that if we have relative motion between a conductor and a magnetic field, we will naturally produce alternating current. And the easiest example of that is with this little animation on screen here. You can see we have a loop of wire, i.e. an armature, that rotates within a magnetic field. We have two connections on the end of our armature windings, and these are called slip rings. Brushes are connected to the slip rings to allow them to move, and then out from that supply comes alternating current. And you can see that's indicated as alternating current by the constant flipping and flopping here of the grey directional arrows. On one half of a rotation of the armature, the current will be going in one direction. On the other half of the rotation of the armature, it goes in the opposite direction. We've seen this before when we spoke about motors and alternators and those things AC related. In this section then, we need to talk more specifically about the sine wave, and we'll be doing this over this objective as well as the next one, and also performing some rather simple calculations upon it. Now, in order to obtain our sine wave from that rotating loop of wire within a magnetic field, we can simply see a relationship between the rotation indicated on the left and the trigonometric waveform indicated on the right. The easiest way to see this, or imagine this, is if our loop of wire is rotating anti-clockwise within our magnetic field, and we step the rotation of the loop of wire through a complete rotation of 360 degrees, and then we simply take the sine of those angles as we rotate around. Now, the way this has been done on screen here with this diagram is that we've taken arbitrary increments of 45 degrees. And as you step around that rotation and you keep taking the sine of those angles, you will end up plotting values between -1 and +1. And as you do that, you will end up tracing a sine wave like you can see on the right hand side. And this is a classic sort of thing that you generally get made to do when you are studying the beginnings of trigonometric waveforms, and you look at the sine wave, the cosine wave, and the tangent wave. There are some other waves to do as well, but for our purposes we only want to discuss the sine wave, as that's the one particular to our basic sort of electrical engineering look at this aspect of the subject. Alright, so we can put this thing to life if we take a look at this animation. And what you're basically seeing on the right hand side of this animation here is a rotating unit circle. And we looked at the unit circle back in 3A1 when we looked at the trigonometry part of it. So you can see the red arrow is what's rotating, which is basically a length of 1 as it rotates around the circle in an anti-clockwise direction, and I should say radius of 1. That's what forms our unit circle. Then that magenta coloured bar that goes above and below on the vertical axis, this is simply the magnitude or the size of that waveform as indicated. Now you can see that if we imagine the waveform part on the left of this diagram, imagine it as a piece of paper being dragged to the left. If we drag that piece of paper over our unit circle and the end of that red bar had a pencil in it, that would trace out this type of waveform. And this is where we get our sine wave from that rotating loop of wire, more specifically a rotating unit circle that we call a phasor diagram in electrical engineering, and it gives us our sine wave over one complete cycle, which is 360 degrees. Now, when we analyse these waveforms, we're only ever interested in one cycle because these things repeat, and they repeat based upon what the frequency is. And I'll get to frequency in just a moment. Over the next couple of objectives, we're going to break down the types of instantaneous values that we're going to see on our sine wave. So these are things like the RMS, the average value, peak, peak to peak, etc. Now, before we get to all of those, which we'll do in the next objective, we want to talk about the basic structure of this waveform regarding its frequency and something called its periodic time, or it's also known as its period. Now, on this particular diagram, the interesting thing to note at this very beginning stage is the label at the bottom on the horizontal axis. And this is simply the arrow that's saying 1 cycle. And you can see one complete cycle of a sine wave would be from 0, the beginning at the left, to 360 degrees at the end on the right. And you can also see that the waveform is symmetrical about the horizontal axis, meaning that the negative half is simply a reflection to the negative axis of, or I should say the negative half of the graph, from the positive half. It's the same thing, it's just reflected as time continues. All right. So, the first thing that we're interested in then regarding these number of cycles is this concept called frequency. And we've talked about this before. Frequency is simply defined as the number of those cycles that occur in 1 second. And that's measured in hertz. So, for example, on the North American continent, we should know that our frequency is 60 hertz. So that means that sine wave that we just saw on that last diagram, that is happening, i.e. one complete sine wave, it's happening 60 times every single second. And that's the definition of our frequency measured in hertz, named in honour of a gentleman called Heinrich Hertz. The formula for this that relates frequency to time, or periodic time, or simply period, is a formula of frequency is equal to the reciprocal of time, which is just 1 divided by t. Reciprocal means 1 divided by anything. Now, unfortunately, this formula is not in your academic supplement, so you will have to add it to your formula sheet and try and get it memorized. It's a nice, easy one to memorize. Frequency is equal to 1 divided by t, where f is the frequency measured in hertz, and t is the periodic time, or the period, measured in seconds. Now, the last part of this objective, before we do some of those simple calculations, is just a quick review of the sine wave regarding this thing called the phase angle, or the phase of a sine wave. Now, we'll actually do the calculations on this later on in this chapter, but not in this particular objective. However, because it was mentioned in the objective, I just want to do a quick review of what the phase angle, or the phase is, of a sine wave. So you can see here on the left that we have 2 sine waves, wave A and wave B. You can also see that if we take a look at those 0 positions, is that waveform A starts at 0 and waveform B starts at 90. So we could say that waveform B has started after waveform A. Now in the electrical world, after is regarded as lagging, and lagging simply means to come after. So I could describe that waveform relationship that waveform B lags waveform A. And I can be more specific and even say that waveform B lags waveform A by a certain angle. And in this example, the way it's drawn, that angle is 90 degrees. Now that angle is regarded as a phase angle, and we can actually calculate that and relate it to something called power factor through our power triangle, or even something called our impedance triangle. And I'll get onto those a little bit later when we actually do some calculations on series AC circuits. Now, what I can also do with those relationships between those 2 waveforms is I could also describe it as leading. So instead of saying that waveform B lags waveform A by 90 degrees, I could also say, if I wanted to, that waveform A comes before waveform B. Now in the electrical world, come before is regarded as leading. So I could say that waveform A leads waveform B. And to be more specific again, I could say that waveform A leads waveform B by 90 degrees. So you can describe any 2 waveforms as either leading or lagging, depending upon which way around you are talking about it. Now, by convention, as we've seen earlier in this section, and also as we'll see later in some calculations, we generally always relate it to the voltage waveform. So that goes back to our mnemonic that we've seen before of civil, meaning that capacitive current leads the voltage and inductive current lags the voltage. That's the convention that we use as voltage as a reference. So I just wanted to quickly mention that. We have talked about it before, and we will talk about it again later on in this chapter as we actually do the calculations on this and we determine phase angles and power factor. All right, so let's jump back then to our frequency and our periodic time, and let's just take a look at some really simple examples to see what they would require of us regarding these calculations. Okay, so we've got a couple of worked examples here to go through before we cut loose on the self-test problems. So as always, let's throw them over onto the whiteboard and see how to solve them. Okay, so for question 1, what is the frequency of a waveform which has a periodic time of 12 milliseconds? So for question 1, I'm recalling my formula that frequency is equal to 1 over the periodic time, where again, frequency is in hertz and it's defined as the number of cycles per second, or the number of complete cycles per second, and then t, the periodic time, is measured in seconds, and that's simply the time it takes for one complete cycle. Okay, so to put the values into this then, the frequency would be 1 divided by 12 milliseconds, and milliseconds is 10 to the minus 3 as an exponential. So on our calculator, 1 divided by 12 exponential minus 3 gives me a frequency here of 83.333 hertz, and that is a recurring 3. So there would be our very quick and easy answer to question 1. An absolute gimme if that comes up on a test. All right, let's take a look at number 2. So for question 2, it says, what is the periodic time of a waveform that has a frequency of 45 hertz? It's the only other variation really upon this formula in terms of a question. So once again, I'm thinking my formula is 1 over t. I rearrange that to find t. So t is just 1 over f. And now just substitute my numbers in. So the periodic time in seconds is equal to 1 divided by my frequency of 45 hertz. So on my calculator, 1 divided by 45 is equal to 0.0222, and that 2 recurs in terms of seconds. I would express that as milliseconds, so I press my engineering button, or just shift your decimal place 3 places to the right, and we could express it as 22.222 milliseconds. And that is the periodic time of that waveform, which basically means that's how long it takes to do a complete cycle at a frequency of 45 hertz. So that's it. Hopefully you think those questions are really simple, of course providing that you can memorize the formula, so add it to your formula sheet, but that's all there is to do regarding these basic calculations regarding frequency or periodic time. Okay, let's jump back to the PowerPoint. So from those 2 worked examples in the previous section, have a go at the self-test problems on page 27 of your textbook. These are questions 8 and 9. So pause the video, have a go at them, see if you agree with these answers in the textbook, and if not, just hang on for the next section and I'll go through both of these questions in terms of the solution and hopefully sort out any problems that you have. Okay, so have a go at them. I'll see you back in a second. So here's the solutions to questions 8 and 9, just to make sure we're okay with them. So for number 8, we have, what is the frequency of a wave which has a period of 4 microseconds? So I recall that the formula, frequency is equal to 1 divided by the periodic time, and that will be 1 divided by 4 times 10 to the minus 6. Because don't forget micro, which is that symbol mu in the lowercase Greek letter, that is 10 to the minus 6 as an exponential. So on our calculator, 1 divided by 4 exponential minus 6 gives me a very big number, and this is 250,000 hertz. However, in the question, they don't want it expressed in hertz, they want it expressed in megahertz. So I'm going to press my engineering button, which gives it to me as 250 kilohertz, and then I can press the engineering button again, and that will now give it to me in megahertz. And in megahertz, it is 0.25 megahertz. So that really is just a question really based upon a manipulation of units. And you can see to get from the answer to the mega, which is what they require, we just had to jump the decimal place 6 places to the left. Or if you've got a Casio calculator like mine, you can just simply use that engineering button. And for a full breakdown of the engineering button and how to use it, again, check out those preparatory math topics videos where I go over it as we manipulate units into various multiples and submultiples. So that's it there for number 8. Very straightforward. Okay, let me clear the board and let's have a go at number 9. So the next one is asking, what is the period of a 50 Hz wave? So for number 9, I'm thinking once again that frequency is 1 divided by the periodic time. And I'll now transpose that formula for periodic time, or as they're referring to it, simply the period. So T is equal to 1 over the frequency. So that will be 1 divided by 50. So on our calculator, 1 divided by 50 is simply 0.02 seconds, and that's the unit they're expressing that in. Now if you wanted to, of course, you could express that using your engineering button or your submultiples, and you could also express it as 20 milliseconds. On the exam they could express that answer in either of those forms, so again, be confident being able to move between multiples and submultiples of a particular unit. So that's it for those self-test problems. Really straightforward. Again, the secret to this chapter really, first of all, memorize your 2 definitions and memorize that formula as that frequency is the reciprocal of time, or simply 1 over time. All right, let's jump back to the PowerPoint and let's wrap up this objective. So that's it for the end of Objective 4, another nice, quick and easy one. So to recap, the 2 definitions are that frequency is defined as the number of cycles per second measured in hertz, and the period or the periodic time is the time taken in seconds to complete 1 cycle. The formula that you must remember is simply that that frequency is 1 divided by the periodic time. That's pretty much it for Objective 4. Very straightforward one, and again, those types of questions should be gimmies in the 3A2 electrical section on the final exam. Alright, so give that a review, and then when you're ready, come back and see me for sort of part 2 of this topic in Objective 5, where we'll look at the sine wave and look at these further terms that I mentioned, like peak, peak to peak, RMS, and I'll also throw in average as well as form factor in there as well regarding these sinusoidal waveforms, or simply just sine waves. Alright, so looking forward to that one. I'll see you back for it real soon. Take care.